How's it going, guys? John, the Basic Expert, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about modern gaming and alternatives, because we're dawning into a new era right now of TTRPGs, especially in the D&D sphere, in the fantasy role-playing game, pen and paper role-playing game sphere, where we have this new version of D&D coming out, the 2024 editions of what is 5e. It's supposed to be this evergreen system, and they're making these changes, and based on everything I see, the art doesn't look super great. I made a video a while back. People are excited about magic item creation, and it's like these are rules that have existed in TSR editions from the very beginning. So it doesn't seem like they're adding much of anything new, and if anything, they're doubling down on a lot of the mechanics and ideas that seem to be the ones that people don't like the most, right? And instead of buying 2024 D&D, I want to point you towards a game that might appeal to you. It has appealed to my group and has appealed to me as an option for people that want to play a D&D game that's very much D&D, but is modern. Because maybe your problem as a DM, right, is you have your play group, they play 5e, and maybe they're looking to hey, DM, are you going to buy the new books? Are we going to make the transition to the new edition? And maybe you don't want to, and I'll side tangent. I think that is a perfectly viable situation. If you're happy with 5e, stay there. I would encourage you to try other games, but I mean, if you're happy someplace, why rock the boat? 6e doesn't look that great anyways. But let's say you're looking for something new, you're looking for something different. Maybe you're tired of giving Wizards of the Coast your money because, honestly, they're kind of predatory and they're just trying to become like the EA of pen and paper role-playing games, which is super weird, and I don't really think that's a sustainable business plan. But I digress. You have players that want to play, but they're not interested in playing AD&D or Rule Cyclopedia or even old school games like Old School Essentials, where, this is based off of BX. What do you do, right? So how do you as the GM, as the dungeon master, how do you go like, I really want to play an old school style game that has that feel that will satisfy me as the GM, but I also want my players to enjoy the game as well, and they say they're not going to enjoy this old stuff. I want to try something else. And the game I want to pitch to you is Castles and Crusades. This game right here, this is going to be a game that is very familiar as far as its format, as how it as far as how it's presented to you, and that you have like a monster and treasure book, you have the Castle Keeper's Guide, which is like the DM's guide, and you have players' handbooks. I got this set because I love the harkening back to AD&D first edition with these, and I also have down here. I also have this box set of Castles and Crusades, which kind of inside it, they give you a dice set, and they give you what feels a lot like the 3 LBBs as far as D&D is concerned. And this is a very stripped down version of the game, all black and white interior, and you get the basic classes in here. I think it's fighter, cleric, wizard, and the thief's in there. The thief wasn't in no D&D, but they added it in this. I think that the box set's kind of fun just to have. But Castles and Crusades is a neat game. I think mechanically speaking, it's a game that your players are going to feel very comfortable in, especially if they're used to 5th edition. In fact, I would say that some of the ideas in 5th edition that a lot of people are familiar with, or at least some of the streamlining and these ideas is like saving on ability scores and things like that. That was I would say had its genesis in Castles and Crusades. Castles and Crusades did in the early 2000s what 5e was trying to do in 2014, and that was, can we look at BX, can we look at AD&D, and can we look at these games and go, can we take the aesthetic, can we take the feel, can we take the basics and update the rules so that they're a little more streamlined and they're a little bit easier for players to digest? Because some people look at old editions, and I get it, and they see them as this mysterious thing, AD&D or 0E or whatever it is. They're these mysterious things that they don't understand. They're really not that hard, but people are intimidated by them. And so there's a niche place for games like this where there's play groups that they're just obstinate, right? But these games are good. I really think Castles and Crusades is a good game. And like I said, it has a lot of things your players are going to be familiar with, like saving on ability scores. I really like the Siege engine. I know some people might be iffy on it, but I like the way the Siege engine works as far as target numbers that players do. So it's a D20 centered game, and players they have prime ability scores. So you have this, the typical 6 ability scores, and if you're human, you get 2. If you're demi-human, you get 1. And so generally, it's going to be linked to your class that you pick too. And there's a ton of classes in here, so your 5e players are going to love that. There's tons of classes in there. But they have these prime ability scores, and when they are making rolls on those, the target number, the base target number is going to be 12. And then if it's not, it's going to be 18, so much harder to hit on D20 rolls. And then those numbers are further modified by the situation at hand until you get the final number that the player has to beat and roll, and monster level, things like that for saves, or for let's say your wisdom score is what you've picked, and you're going to track some kobolds. That's the example in the book. You're going to track some kobolds, and the kobolds are like one hit die, let's say, so it's going to be a 13 or a 14 depending on the situation. It's like, maybe I think the example is like it rained, so there's going to be the challenge rating is going to increase from 12 to 13, and then the kobolds are like one hit die creatures, so now it's a 14, and so the player rolls a d20, adds their ability score modifier, and tries to beat a 14 on their dexterity score, right? There's no sub-skills in this, like in 5e. 5e, every ability score has a set of sub-skills tied to it, loosely tied to it. People think that they're strictly tied to it in 5e, but they're not. There's explicitly mentioned in the rules that there might be some, use this skill with an ability score that you don't typically think of. That is in the rulebook. But I really like Castles and Crusades. It does unify everything on the d20, and so for me, I like rolling different kinds of dice. So that's the one drawback of the Siege engine, where I don't like necessarily rolling a d20 for everything, but for your 5e players, this is going to be a system or a mechanic that they're going to just instantly understand and grasp very quickly. It's just a matter of understanding. Instead of difficulty class, you have these different target number systems based on their prime and secondary ability scores. So I would encourage you to check it out. You got everything you need to play in the Player's Handbook, and the Castle Keeper's Guide has lots of really cool information. I think if I could critique this one way, is I wish this had better random encounter tables. In it. It has random encounter tables based on level, but not by environment type, which I feel like is extremely lacking in this. And they have a separate supplement or book that has all the random encounters for monsters from the monster book, as well as I think another book, in a single document, or you can get it as a PDF or as a print on demand, or not a print on demand, but as a physical book like these. And while I think that I get why that is, and the tables in this are sufficient, I often end up using my AD&D First Edition Dungeon Master's Guide for random encounters, dungeon generation, and wilderness hex generation. This does have rules for mass combat, which is quite nice. And it's one of those games that I really can't recommend it enough. My players, the times that I've played it, I think have liked it. I like it. I like running it. It's one of those games where it's different. It kind of satisfies that feeling of being different. It feels old school. So if you again have players that have only ever played 5e, this could be a good segue game into playing older editions. So highly recommend checking out Castles and Crusades. I think that a while ago they've talked about, because of the OGL stuff, they were doing a new version of the game. This is the one that was on the OGL. I probably won't plan on getting the newer edition because I have these, and these are perfectly fine. But I know the new non-OGL versions are going to have some changes to them regarding certain rules and references to things that were in the OGL. So if you're unable to find these ones, the newer ones are probably roughly going to be the same game, I believe, but just slightly modified, so they're not dependent on, Wizards of the Coast, who again is trying to be the EA of pen and paper role-playing games. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. I just wanted to make a quick video talking about Castles and Crusades. Do you run Castles and Crusades? What do you think about it? Comment down below. And also, give other people recommendations that are maybe looking to leave 5e, but they're not really ready to jump into pure old school gaming just yet. What are some other games that you think are good for them to reference and play and maybe check out? Please check out my other B channel, which is about art. I upload process videos of the illustrations that I do to that channel, and people requested that I do like narrations and stuff. So if that hasn't happened already by the time this video is out, I'm planning on doing videos where I sort of talk about the process a bit. And I'm probably going to start selling art tutorial videos, I think, on my Gumroad store, on my web store, where you can buy Makuhiro. Check that out, www.thebasicexpert.com. And I might sell some art tutorial videos there, as well as tutorials on how to use Affinity. I'm trying to help other creators who are interested in doing indie design, using these tools themselves, and sort of talking about how I do everything myself, right? So trying to sort of teach you and show you how I use all these various tools, like Clip Studio Paint, Affinity products, in order to make my books. And if that interests you, I'm going to hopefully be working on that soon. So please check out that. Check out my Substack. Like, subscribe, share the video. If you want to support the channel, you can right here on YouTube or on Subscribestar or on my Guilded server. Links are on my Substack. Until the next video, guys, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.